Big Star, number 1 record. Ardent Records number 474. Number 1 record is the debut album by the American rock band Big Star. It was released on April 24, 1972 by Memphis-based Ardent Records.
Can, Iga Bamyasi United Artists Records number 454. Iga Bamyasi is the third studio album by German krautrock band Can, originally released as an LP in 1972 by United Artists.
Yes, Close to the Edge Atlantic Records number 445. Close to the Edge is the fifth studio album by English progressive rock band Yes. It was released on the 13th of September 1972 by Atlantic Records, and is their last album of the 1970s to feature their original drummer Bill Bruford.
Paul Simon Columbia Records number 425. Paul Simon is the second solo studio album by American singer-songwriter Paul Simon. It was released in January 1972, nearly 2 years after he split up with longtime musical partner Art Garfunkel.
Various artists, nuggets, original artifacts from the first psychedelic era. Electro Records number 405. Nuggets, original artifacts from the first psychedelic era is a compilation album of American psychedelic and garage rock singles that were released during the mid to late 1960s. It was created by Lenny Kaye, who was a writer and clerk at the Village Oldies record shop in New York.
Todd Rundgren, Something/Anything? Bearsville Records number 396. Something/Anything? Is the third album by American musician Todd Rundgren, released in February 1972. It was his first double album, and was recorded in late 1971 in Los Angeles, New York City, and Bearsville Studios, Woodstock.
Aretha Franklin, Young, Gifted and Black. Atlantic Records number 388. Young, Gifted and Black is the 18th studio album by American singer-songwriter Aretha Franklin, released in early 1972 by Atlantic Records. The album climbed to number 2 on Billboard's R&B Albums Survey and peaked at number 11 on the main album chart.
Stevie Wonder, Music of My Mind. Tamla Motown number 350. Music of My Mind is the 14th studio album by American soul musician Stevie Wonder. It was released on March 3, 1972, by Tamla Records, and was Wonder's first to be recorded under a new contract with Motown that allowed him full artistic control over his music.
Bill Withers, Still Bill. Sussex Records number 333. Still Bill is the second studio album by American soul singer-songwriter and producer Bill Withers, released in 1972 by Sussex Records. The album was recorded and produced by Withers with musicians from the Watts 103rd Street Rhythm Band.
Al Green, I'm Still in Love with You. High Records number 306. I'm Still in Love with You is the fifth studio album by the American gospel and soul singer Al Green, released on October 23, 1972, on High Records. Recording sessions took place during 1972. The album was produced solely by Willie Mitchell.
Elton John, Honky Chateau. Uni Records number 251. Honky Chateau is the fifth studio album by English musician Elton John. It was released in 1972, and was titled after the 18th century French chateau where it was recorded, Chateau de Rouville.
Eagles Asylum Records number 207. Eagles is the debut studio album by American rock band The Eagles. The album was recorded at London's Olympic Studios with producer Glyn Johns and released in 1972. The album was an immediate success for the young band, reaching number 22 on the charts and going platinum.
Jimmy Cliff, The Harder They Come. Mango Records number 174. The Harder They Come is the soundtrack album to the film of the same name, released in 1972. In 2021, the album was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress and selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry.
Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. ABC Records number 168. Can't Buy a Thrill is the debut studio album by American rock band Steely Dan, released in November 1972 by ABC Records. The album was written by band members Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, recorded in August 1972 at the Village Recorder in Los Angeles, California, and produced by Gary Katz.
Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. Atlantic Records number 154. Amazing Grace is a live album by American singer Aretha Franklin. It was recorded in January 1972 at the New Temple Missionary Baptist Church in Los Angeles, with Reverend James Cleveland and the Southern California Community Choir accompanying Franklin in performance.
Lou Reed, Transformer RCA Records No. 109. Transformer is the second solo studio album by American recording artist Lou Reed. Produced by David Bowie and Mick Ronson, the album was released in November 1972 by RCA Records. It is considered an influential landmark of the glam rock genre, anchored by Reed's most successful single, Walk on the Wild Side, which touched on then controversial topics of sexual orientation, gender identity, prostitution, and drug use.
Curtis Mayfield, Superfly Curtain Records No. 76. Superfly is the third studio album by American soul musician Curtis Mayfield, released in July 1972 on Curtain Records. It was released as the soundtrack for the blaxploitation film of the same name. Widely considered a classic of 1970s soul and funk music, Superfly was a nearly immediate hit.
Neil Young, Harvest Reprise Records No. 72. Harvest is the fourth studio album by Canadian-American musician Neil Young, released on February 1, 1972, by Reprise Records, catalogue number MS-2032. It featured the London Symphony Orchestra on 2 tracks and vocals by noted guests David Crosby, Graham Nash, Linda Ronstadt, Stephen Stills, and James Taylor.
Stevie Wonder, Talking Book Tamla Motown No. 59. Talking Book is the 15th studio album by American singer, songwriter, and musician Stevie Wonder, released on October 27, 1972, by Tamla, a subsidiary of Motown Records. This album and Music of My Mind, released earlier the same year, are generally considered to mark the start of Wonder's classic period.
David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars RCA Records No. 40. The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, often shortened to Ziggy Stardust 1, is the fifth studio album by English musician David Bowie, released on the 16th of June 1972 in the United Kingdom through RCA Records. It was co-produced by Bowie and Ken Scott and features Bowie's backing band The Spiders from Mars, comprising Mick Ronson, Trevor Bolder, and Mick Woodmansey. The Rolling Stones, Exile on Main Street. Rolling Stones Records. Number 14. Exile on Main Street is the 10th British and 12th American studio album by the English rock band The Rolling Stones, released on the 12th of May 1972 by Rolling Stones Records.